Good morning. This is Jason Dean coming live at you again for another Film Fanatic show. Hope everyone's doing good. This is today is Wednesday. It's hard to believe it's Wednesday already. This week is flying by. It's Wednesday at about 8:36. So, yeah, today is a show on a movie that I've heard about throughout the years. And again, it's one of those things where I have no idea why the fuck I haven't seen this movie. And I also did a show yesterday. I just uploaded it to the channel, and I'm gonna do a bunch of sharing and promotion with it. Put it on my Instagram and a couple other places. And again, and that movie is Slumber Party Massacre, and that's another movie that I saw for the first time, and it was the only time I've ever seen it, and I was blown away by it. I was just like, "What the fuck? Why have I not seen this movie?" I went to Bull Moose on Saturday. I had gone to the movies with a friend, my friend Aaron, and we after the movie we we're gonna get some dinner, but then it was still pretty early-ish, so we ended up going to Bull Moose, which was like right 5 or 10 minutes away from the movie theater, and it was not a planned trip or a planned thing of spending money, but I was like fuck it, and then I went there and I got um, about three movies. I wasn't in there as long as I would normally because I was a little bit tired and I was kind of starving, so I was like not wanting to be there for like multiple hours. So I made some kind of quick decisions. Usually when I go there, I'll spend, a couple hours and I'll, just go through the aisles and the whole thing. And it was still amazing. And we still spent maybe about 45 minutes in there in the shop at Bull Moose. But I picked up a couple of movies that I had been wanting to see. They were super cheap, and I never seen them before, and I've always heard about them. It's just one of those things. And Slumber Party Massacre was just awesome, awesome movie. And lately, a lot of the videos I've been doing, especially in the exploitation world, I've been doing lots of videos on a shit ton of movies I've never seen before. And so I've been discovering all of these amazing movies, and it's been just super cool, super awesome. I always, now when I go to Bull Moose, I usually always buy. I'll buy, of course, I'll buy a movie that I've been looking for that I've seen, and then I come across it on Blu-ray, and then I'll snag it up. But even in those circumstances, most of the time I will um, buy movies I've never seen, and that's usually due to the price. That's my Bull Moose cup. It's usually due to the price, and then also um, the that particular edition of the Blu-ray. Another big factor is the label. Who, if it's like Severin or Blue Underground or what have you. I've gotten pretty familiar with a lot of the boutique labels that specialize in all things exploitation. So that's really helped me make some really cool decisions. But every now and then you watch a movie for the first time, and again it was you've heard about it, you hear about it for a long time, or maybe it's something you just come across, and then when you finally see it, you're just totally blown away by how incredible it is. And that in this movie, happy happy birthday to me. I picked this up on Blu-ray on Saturday and or Sunday, and I was totally blown away. This movie is, again, the slasher genre is my favorite in the whole entire exploitation genre, and Happy Birthday to Me is without a doubt a slasher movie. Plus, it has all of these giallo elements, and I'll be getting into the movie, getting into that in a minute. But Happy Birthday to Me is an amazing fucking movie. This movie now, I've only seen it once. I had heard about it for a long time. I'd even seen this in the shops over the past year. And for whatever reason, I would just, I'd look at it and and I knew all about it. but I would pass on it, and I just would never buy it. And then finally, Sunday, I bought it, and I was like, this movie instantly is now in the top tier of my favorite slasher movies of all time. It's amazing because slashers are my favorite, and I was completely blown away by this. The only thing that this was only $7 on Blu-ray. The only thing that is not very cool about this movie is that there are no special features. There's not even a commentary track. That's probably why it was so cheap. But the transfer of this on this disc to Blu-ray is one of the best quality Blu-rays I have ever seen. And this movie is without a doubt one of the greatest slasher movies I've ever seen. I put it right up there with like Maniac. The list is endless. Mad Men, um, the Toolbox Murders, Pieces. I mean, all of the classic slasher films. Slasher films that are, maybe a little bit more well known, and other films that are not well known. Uh, but regardless, this is like one of the best slasher movies I've ever seen. It came out, um, and again, there's no special features on here, which is a little bit frustrating, but it was so worth the price. It came out in 1981. Again, my favorite period of filmmaking, 70s, 80s. Stars Melissa Sue Anderson. Great cast in this film. A lot of really great actors. Glenn Ford was in this, really famous character actor. Lawrence Dan, Tracy Berg, Tracy Bregman, Jack Blum. Extraordinary movie, and it came out in 1982. It was directed by J. Lee Thompson. Uh, it starred Melissa Sue Anderson and Glenn Ford. Um, the premise of this movie is so awesome. The lead character, the girl, is a woman who has had these really kind of bizarre experiments done on her brain, and you basically get this whole thing of where you get these kind of like flashback scenarios, and you start understanding as to what's going on to a degree of her whole thing, because she's essentially a teenager, but she has throughout the movie, and it's her with her friends and at school, and she starts having these weird, really strange kind of dreamlike kind of flashback um, visions, and they're really kind of kind of surrealistic, and you kind of feel like, well, maybe this woman is just suffering from some kind of mental illness. And there are these series of all of these events where these teenagers start getting killed and picked off, and without giving anything away, there's so many little plot twists. And it happened to me 3 times. There's about 3 times in the movie where I was like, okay, this is the killer. This is the person who's killing all these people. And I was convinced of it. And then the rug was pulled from underneath me, and it was not that person. And I couldn't, and I was really, really, really impressed by that. I was really excited by that. It was not predictable. And I mean, it's a pure, unadulterated slasher film. Great kills, some really great kills. It gets increasingly more and more gory. Very, very cool. I love the whole thing too of where you're not sure if this girl, is kind of crazy, or if these visions are true. And she starts, again, without giving anything away, she starts believing that she might be responsible for these killings. But then there are all these other indications that she is not part of that. But very, very interesting. Really great writing. The atmosphere for this film is phenomenal, phenomenal. The kills are super creative. I will say, like, some of the most creative kills I've seen in a horror film, in a slasher film, in quite a long time. Um, the other thing that's so cool about this is it's like also like a pure giallo film, and I'm a huge giallo fan. Of course, that is like the Italian version of, to a degree. I always think of it in a real simple way to try to explain what giallo is. It's kind of like the Italian's version of, or the Italian version of the classic kind of Agatha Christie story. But giallo films tend to have, you know, they obviously have the heavy suspense level. There's always some kind of murder mystery aspect. There's always characters in that in the story where they are either, you know, maybe civilians or victims of the crime or friends of the victims. There's always and there's also usually the police are always involved. Those two groups are usually in a giallo film are always like involved in trying to or investigating the story and trying to find out who the killer is or the killers. Giallo tends to always have there's always a sleazy kind of sexual element to a lot of giallo films. Lots of nudity, sometimes like really gratuitous sex. There's also another factor of it. There's always some kind of psychosexual element around it, and the violence is usually really brutal. Their giallo films tend to be really gory. Um, One of the classic, probably the most classic tropes of or characteristics of a giallo is the gloved killer. You know, the killer will always wear like leather gloves, and he'll always use like some sort of blade, like a razor. A razor is the typical thing that you'll see in a lot of giallo films. They'll have like a straight razor, and that's the method of how that killer will usually take out the person. They you know, and they're always very suspenseful. And a lot of giallo films are very much influenced by Hitchcock. So the thing that's different from the giallo world versus the Agatha Christie, the classic, you know, murder mystery, the classic British um, framework for murder mystery films, Agatha Christie oriented kinds of things, is they the giallo thing is different because the violence is usually tends to be more graphic. There's always a sleazier factor. The Agatha Christie films or style, the British classic British style, doesn't typically have copious amounts of gore or psychosexual elements or even sexual scenarios or nudity. So the giallo thing is very different that way. And you know, a lot of giallo films also are, you know, they're definitely steeped in the murder mystery world, but they tend to have, and some don't, some do. Most of them that I have seen have that element, but they always have a what you would call like a slasher element, where there's like a series of these characters and they're all getting picked off one by one. Some don't necessarily. Some are just steeped in the world of the maybe the sexual or just the murder mystery aspect. They might not go venture off into the slasher territory, but typically you do see that. And Happy Birthday to Me has a total giallo thing. It has the killer wears these leather gloves, uses a straight razor in some of the kills, and it's a great murder mystery. This film is a great murder mystery, but it's definitely a slasher because it's super gory and it really does deal with this, you know, psychotic person and this really insane kind of scenario. It's very gory. The ending is amazing. The atmosphere is super awesome, and I can't believe I've never seen this movie. Super cool, and again I got it for $7, and again I put this up as it after I finished watching. I watched it last night for the very first time. Instantly, I was like, this is easily one of the best slasher movies I've ever seen. And for me, I guess you could say that's saying a lot because I have been trying to beef up my slasher collection. I have quite a few now, and I've been following and discovering older films in the genre. Um, and I've been just blown away by it. And and definitely I watched this after the night after I watched the Slumber Party Massacre, which is also a an amazing slasher film. That movie is a little bit more, I guess, a little bit more has more comedic elements. It's a little bit more. It's a little bit more campier. This is a little. This is like more serious. This is like a it's got the cheese factor to it. It's pretty low budget. It's it's kind of trashy, but it has a little bit more of a serious tone to it. Or actually, I should say, a way more of a serious tone to it than Slumber Party. The Slumber Party Massacre is really great in all of those ways, but it is a little bit more on the comedic side. Even the director for that movie refers to that movie as a comedy. But this movie, oh my god, next level. And again, never seen it before. And the story was written by John Saxton, and I was really curious is that if that is the actor, the famous actor, famous character actor. But I'm not totally sure if it is. I don't think it is. John Saxton, this John Saxton, um, wrote a whole bunch of movies. But very, very cool. It's different, yeah, different person, different actor. Not the John Saxon who is an actor. But J. Lee Thompson was a pretty well known British director, and it's crazy because some of the films that he directed are just amazing. He was the director of the original Cape Fear, which is a masterpiece. Amazing. I didn't had no idea. He also directed The Guns of Navarone in 1961, which is nuts. Another classic. Battle for the Planet of the Apes. That's insane. 73. Death Wish 4. Conquest of the Planet of the Apes. Midnight. Charlton Heston. McKenna's Gold. I mean, so he directed some pretty seriously killer movies. Um, so I gotta check these out. I love the Planet of the Apes series, the original, very much. And the last there was like four or five in the series, and the last few that were made in the '70s were like totally bonkers crazy, and I didn't realize he directed those. So shit, pretty awesome. But I can't recommend this movie enough, especially like Halloween is just days away, so this is like a perfect kind of slasher movie for to put you or to keep you in a Halloween state of mind. Tremendous movie, definitely on my in my top 10 list of my favorite slasher movies, probably even in my top five. Um, so good, so damn good. I would put this right up there with like My Bloody Valentine or Two Box Murders or uh, Pieces. There's so many great ones. So yeah, definitely check this out. 1982. You will not be disappointed. You will love this movie. So thanks again. This is Jason Dean, and we will see you next time. Peace.